Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you today by request from my dude Taqi 616. We're going to be talking about DC Comics Milestone Initiative Static Team Up #1. I know I'm going to mispronounce this name, but Anansi, I think it is. It is written by Evan Narcisse, pencils by Charles Stewart III, inks by Jose Marzan Jr., colors by Luis Guerrero, and letters by AndWorld Design. I'm sorry if I mispronounced any of those names. It is no form of disrespect. Before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe on this guy's channel. It does help a lot. Hit the bell if you're so inclined. You never know when I'm going to be dropping reviews. So let's get started. At the very beginning of the book, it does state that this is in between Season 1 of Static that dropped in 2021 and in between the current season that's going on, Shadows of Dakota, but it is still main continuity. But basically it starts out in and I'm gonna mess this up too, Kayabobo National Park in Ghana. But we have this guy, and he's basically checking. I guess he's at like a wildlife reserve. He's outside checking. They do mention his name, so he has to be like kind of a character that they're either gonna bring back or. But in this story, he's very light. But basically, he's going out there, and all of a sudden, he starts getting attacked by these like magical-looking wasp type things. They're just glowing gold, but they do look extremely different. And then all of a sudden this figure appears and we meet this guy Anansi or Anansi, or I don't know how to pronounce his name, correct me. Maybe put it in abbreviations in the comments. But basically he sees these things and he tells this guy that he's basically sleepwalking, and these things are like living dreams come to life on some kind of like, it's basically earth magic. And the guy is like, oh, magic and this and that. And Anansi kind of explains that magic is everywhere in the earth and never went anywhere. Wherever the people are, that it's going to be there, kind of thing. They do touch base on like the creation of us, as far as like where we started, and the whole, most of us think we came from Africa. That's where, but it's stated that even back then that the magic was there. This guy, Anansi, basically has a totem connected to one of the like kind of earlier gods or deities that used to be there a long time ago. And that's where that part of the story leaves us off. We catch up in Dakota City on Juneteenth, and they're doing the Juneteenth celebration. They got like different documents on display, stuff like that. And it's it's Static with his family, and they're celebrating the day. Eventually we get to find out, Static gets a call on his phone, and it's like his Static, it's him and his friend, and it's kind of like an alert app that they're using. But we find out that, and this is a character that showed up a lot during the Big Bang. He was kind of, I think, the last scene at the end of the series. But we find out this kid, Devontae, who has received powers due to the Big Bang situation, has been recently like either kidnapped or just disappeared. At this time, Virgil, he thought he was fine, and he's kind of learning now that this kid kind of had it okay at the beginning, but after losing, place to go or different family he could stay with, now he's kind of on the run. He does have a phasing ability where he can phase through walls, so he is hard to catch, but it says like if he doesn't have sleep and he's not rested, it doesn't work so well. Virgil does show up to the location that the app was sending him to, and sure enough, when he gets there, that's when Virgil runs into Anansi. They are battling this cult-like crew. Eventually they do grab Devontae. They all grab these like crystals. They start chanting this for the unseen kind of chat. We see this where all the members kind of turn into like these spirit kind of ghost looking things after they do this, and all of a sudden this blast of light, Anansi grabs Virgil out of the way, kind of claiming that it could have killed him, but basically they all teleport away. It was some kind of spell, and Devontae is gone. At this point, it's basically Virgil catching up with Anansi. He doesn't know who he is, but Anansi right off the bat knows who Static Shock is, and it is revealed, that he does have his totem is connected to like a spider, and that's why often when you see Anansi, you'll see this shadow spider behind him. It's part of where he gets his power. And I can tell you myself, his power is a little confusing, but supposedly when he meets any individual, he can see all parts of their story. Hence the weave part of the spider power thing. So once he meets Static Shock, he's already seen past, present, different multiverse versions. He's seen the original Dakota verse that started back in the 90s. And that's kind of his power. That's what makes this guy so powerful. He does go through and show it with this magic, how this is kind of possible. Like I said, while reading this, it was a little confusing because Anansi kind of speaks in riddles. It's not plain forward like Static is talking to him. But we kind of learned that he's not a villain, that he's trying to help out, certain individuals. He showed up to help Devante, but he's not the only one he's helping out. But they're all parts of the story, supposedly. Eventually they do, there is a minion left behind. We do find out with his story powers that this group is called Star Chamber, and they are basically working for the one they called out to, the Unseen. They want Devante for some unknown reasons at the moment. But basically, after we get all this explanation from Anansi, Static notices that one of the crystals were left behind and gives it to Anansi. He can't really do anything with it with his electricity kind of powers and stuff like that, and even the tech stuff that he has now. Anansi does create a portal that leads directly to where Devante was, because supposedly the crystal is connected to the story. So they can go wherever the story goes kind of thing, and instantly they're teleported to Africa from Dakota City, specifically Boyce Island, Sierra Leone. And Virgil flips out. It's the first time he's been to Africa. He's like, oh damn man, if my friends could see this, But they eventually kind of do find out that Devante and the Star Chamber cult are close by. Anansi kind of tell Static that they need to kind of stick back and see what's going on. We get a little more explanation to his story powers and how the web works and that kind of stuff, but not really. It's still kind of I mean, if you could understand the riddles, then I'm pretty sure it makes complete sense, but to me there was a lot that is just not in this book and we haven't seen yet kind of thing. Eventually Virgil does start getting electromagnetic ping from the people that are in some kind of compound, and they find out where Devante is. Once they show up, we meet the Unseen. Basically, it's this guy right here in his purple Bill Nye the Science Guy getup. But he is Nathan Flock, and eventually it says that he was into alchemy and magic, and eventually him seeing the darkness that came from the cosmos above or whatever, and they turned him into what he's going by now, and that's Dr. Nemo. At the moment, he's trying to use totems, from those crystals. Well, the crystals with the totems to bring old gods to the to Earth, and basically this cheetah and the snake kind of god-looking thing, that they basically come from another dimension. A fight that breaks out, while this is going on, and Static realizes that technically all he's got to do is re-emit energy at those crystals, and they basically get teleported back. And that's kind of what happens. The snake thing sticks around for a little while because during this fight, Anansi goes after Dr. Nemo, and we find out that Dr. Nemo somehow knows all about Anansi. And he's well prepared for him. He already knew that he can see all the future and this kind of stuff, and has these traps laid out. You can see he's using these sound kind of blasters to cause Anansi from not doing any spells. So eventually, while this is going on, Static's having to deal with the two gods. He gets rid of the cheetah at first. Eventually, before he can get to the snake thing grabs, Dr. Nemo and starts to eat him. As this goes on, Static kind of powers up, grabs a crystal, and shoots it at this snake thing, and instantly it teleports back, but at the same time taking Dr. Nemo with it. At the very end, after saving the few people that were there and Devontae, because there was a couple other kids that this group had kidnapped, they basically, Anansi teleports them back to Dakota City, but he stays stating that he needs to do some other stuff. This Static Shock is about to have to undergo a mission all by himself that he can't help out with. It's really what he's going through right now during the Shadows of Dakota is what is hinted at, because we see like the shadow on the wall here of Eben. So basically we hear two things at the very end of this, and it's that Anansi has something else to do, so I'm pretty sure we would either see him in a solo series or he'll pop back up somewhere. The second thing is that Dr. Nemo is still physically alive. Anansi says that before he couldn't, it was part of that Dr. Nemo's guy's powers that he could hide his presence from anybody he so chose. And he's probably still using that power, just maybe in a different dimension where those god things were teleported from. But that is my review. I did love this issue. It was fantastic. The art was phenomenal. The, everything, the letters, the coloring, and it was just a great little one-shot, meeting this new character and stuff, and potentially some things that could be on the way. Having this guy that can see everything running around, I have a feeling this is going to be how they really tie in the Milestone universe with the DC universe, because recently during Icon and Hardware we've seen Vandal Savage and somebody else, so they're starting to mix. But guys, that's my review. Taqi616, I hope you were able to pick this up, and I hope you enjoyed the review. Please comment below if you read this comic. What did you think about it? If you didn't hear about it, go out and grab it. That's all I got for you. Bye.